Hey guys, this is going to be my first video log. I haven't ever done any of these before, and everybody seems to be doing them, so I figure I better step up. We're going to cover a lot of topics on these. It's not going to be general at all. It will be actually a bunch of different topics, so it's not going to be super specific. We'll bounce around, just whatever's on my mind, whatever I'm up to. I think probably quite a few of you, if you're on my website, you're checking out things, you probably all know quite a bit about me. But for those who don't, and for those who aren't super familiar with me, I'm going to go into kind of an introduction a little bit. As you know, I'm Layne Norton. I have a IFPA, NGA, natural bodybuilding pro. I also compete professionally in powerlifting meets, and I also have a PhD in nutritional sciences. And then I work primarily as a coach for bodybuilders and figure competitors and people who plan to step on stage, and I even work with a few like mixed martial artists and some other athletes who need to peak for competitions. And a lot of you have probably heard my kind of mantra of OUTWORK before. I'm not going to say it's my mantra, but kind of the mantra I've adopted of OUTWORK. And you'll see me hashtagging a lot of times on Twitter or on Facebook. And I guess I kind of want to, as for the first video blog, kind of go over how that came to be. Many of you who are familiar with me, or if you've even read one single article or interview with me, you probably know that one of the reasons I got into bodybuilding was that I was picked on a lot as a kid. And, other than that, I had a great upbringing. I mean, my parents were very supportive. They really took good care of me. We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, but they really did a fantastic job looking back on kind of limited resources they had. And I never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from or anything like that. But, we didn't go out to movies very often. Didn't go out to eat hardly ever, which is fine. But I didn't have a lot of kids that lived around me, so I think I was kind of a little bit awkward with kids when I went into school, and a little weird. And so I'd probably say around third grade, I probably started to notice that I was a little different in terms of how kids were treating me and whatnot. I guess, when you're that young, it's very disheartening to see people just treat you so poorly because you're different. And I mean, that carried itself all the way through high school. I was definitely very low on the totem pole in terms of, social hierarchy in those days. And but one of the things I always fell back on was, my goals. I always really wanted to hit certain goals. I mean, in terms of popularity and those sorts of things, those goals were always so. I mean, yes, I really wanted to be popular, and thank goodness I never was. I might have never been where I am today if I had, kind of fallen in with the crowd. I want to be popular, but it's such an arbitrary goal and such a goal that's almost, difficult to make concrete that I wasn't able, I couldn't do it. It was just hard. So my goals, I really fell back on my goals academically and in sports. And the first sport I started playing was baseball. And I started in t-ball. My parents signed me up for it. I had virtually no interest in it. Mom used to joke that I spent more time in the outfield picking four-leaf clovers than I did actually paying attention to the game. And after t-ball was over, I wasn't very good at it. But after t-ball was over, there was minor league started, and that's where they use a pitching machine. And in minor league, I remember about halfway through the first year, I just kind of goofing around at practice one day, and Mom pulled me aside, and she said, I I'm glad you're having fun, but at the same time, you need to work at this if you want to do it, because we are paying money for you to be in a league. And you know, if it's not something you're really interested in, we can put you in something else that maybe you're more interested in, and you can apply yourself there. And so it wasn't I want you to be a baseball star. It was just, we want to find something that, piques your interest. And she didn't think baseball was doing it. And kind of in that moment and having to make that decision, I think I was 8 years old. I decided that, okay, I want to get good at baseball. So I really worked hard the rest of the year at practice, and really saw a lot of improvement. And then the following year, our team didn't do very well. I remember this. Our team didn't do very well that year, but the following year, we did a lot better. We didn't win the league championship or anything, but we got in the playoffs and we did pretty well. And at the end of the year, our coach made us little trophies. So he, made, most valuable player, best hitter, that sort of thing. And I got the trophy for most improved player. And I remember that, and I kept it on my desk all throughout high school, because it meant a lot to me. That was really where I started to kind of understand, bringing this all back around to the outwork mentality. I kind of got back around to understanding, okay, I can set a goal, I can work towards it, and then I can accomplish it, even if I'm not inherently good at something. Because school, I was actually, I wouldn't say I was inherently good at it. I had to study, but I didn't mind school. It was fine. Baseball, I really had to work at it. I wasn't very talented at all, and so I really got passionate about baseball. Of course, every kid growing up wants to be a big leaguer. I really got passionate about baseball, and then when I got to high school, I played second base all through Little League. Actually, in Little League, our team won a league championship against a team that we weren't supposed to beat. And I remember after that, my coach telling me, he said, I want to start a team with you because you have such a good attitude, even though you're not the most talented. So I did, had a lot of fun in Little League, Pony League, and then it got time for high school, and I had never made a sports team in my life. I tried out every year for the basketball team in middle school and failed. I tried out for freshman basketball in high school and failed. Even though I went to all the off-season workouts, I worked harder than anybody there, I still didn't make the team, and I probably didn't deserve to make the team. I just wasn't that good. But I really worked hard at it. Because, the basketball guys were the popular guys, so I knew if I got the basketball team, I'd be all right, but that didn't work out. So I really wanted to make the baseball team, though. That was very nerve-wracking for me. I almost didn't try out because I was so scared of failing at making the baseball team my freshman year. But I decided to try out, and I'd always played second base. And I was trying out at second base, and I remember the coach coming up to me one day. His name was Coach Noble, and there was 6 guys trying out at second base, and he told me, he said, Layne, if you try for second base, you're probably not going to make the team. We got a bunch of second basemen. A lot of the guys are more talented than you, but we really need a first baseman. Well, I'm 5'10" and right-handed, and for anybody that knows first baseman, they're supposed to be left-handed, over 6 foot, and sluggers, and I wasn't any of those. And all I had was a little second baseman's mitt. I didn't have a first baseman's mitt. And but I decided, okay, well, I want to make the team. So I went home every single night after 2 hours of practice. I would go home and I would take a tennis ball and throw it up against a brick wall outside my house and practice short hops, catching short hops. And I would just do that every night. Get home after practice, throw short hops, and then study, and then go to bed, and then go to school the next day. And lo and behold, I made the baseball team. And even though I was the only left-handed guy that even though I was the only right-handed guy who tried out at first base, and I was one of the shortest, I ended up making the starting lineup at first base. And went on to have a pretty good season. I was a better defensive player than I was an offensive player, but went on to have a pretty good season and started almost every game at first base. And then I actually went on to letter 3 years in a row at first base, and wasn't an all-star or anything, but had a pretty good high school career. But I remember at the banquet for the baseball team at the end of our freshman year, the coach pulled me aside and he said, "You know what? you had the least amount of talent of anybody on our team, and if I could pick one person to start a team with, it would be you, because you just have the best attitude and you're willing to work harder than anybody else, and you can't always teach that. And so that meant a lot to me. And then he said, I don't care if you want to play college baseball, I know you'd find a way. If that's really your passion, you would find a way. I don't care if it's the smallest school in Montana, you would find a way. So kind of bringing things back around full circle, having that experience of setting a goal that I thought maybe was far out of reach, or other people thought was way far out of reach, kind of taught me about the fact that maybe I'm not the most talented, but I can work really, 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 really hard, and I can still get there, even if some other people may have more talent than me. And that's kind of where the seeds of OUTWORK